Creating a list of the most Googled questions that people are looking up all over the internet for South Surrey and White Rock is always a very fascinating exercise. And in today's video, this is my wife, Sarah. And together, what we've done is we've pulled every single question, or not every single one, but at least the biggest questions that people just like you have about living in the community of White Rock. These are questions we have found from all areas of the internet, from Google to Reddit threads to Facebook and everywhere, answering your deepest burning questions. So today we're going to cover 8 of the most pressing, and I've got my trusty assistant Sarah here to help go through the questions. So if that all sounds good, let's jump into it right now. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. Okay, so there is always a lot of questions about people wanting to move to White Rock, to South Surrey. For the purpose of this video, we actually are going to focus specifically on White Rock, but often those names get used pretty interchangeably, right? So in fact, we call ourselves White Rockians, but we
Well,
actually,
we do live on the border of South Surrey.
see, we're already justifying that we live in White Rock. But for the purposes of this, we actually are referring to exactly White Rock. And if you guys like this sort of video, then we'll do one on South Surrey as well. Anyways, what's the first question?
Okay, so the first question is, why does the water taste so bad?
Why does the water taste bad? So for anybody that lives in White Rock, goes to the grocery store in White Rock, the Save on Foods as an example, does such good business by filling up those big jugs of water. And it's not uncommon to find those big jugs of water in many of the residents in White Rock. So why do people pay for water outside of what they can get from their taps? Well, most of Metro Vancouver gets mountain rainwater, but White Rock is on its own independent ground system. And that means that we have wells, we have reservoirs, and then these contain natural manganese and arsenic. The city built a massive treatment plant back in 2019 to filter it out. But the taste that people hate is often the chloramine used for disinfection, reacting with the old pipe. So it's safe to drink, but most locals wouldn't dream of drinking it without a Brita filter. What's the next question?
Our dogs?
Wait, hold on. Have you had White Rock water before?
No, I don't think so.
It's got this interesting smell and this
Yeah.
interesting taste that a lot of people just simply don't like. And, but for the rest of Metro Vancouver, we're so lucky where we live because our drinking water is some of the best in the entire world, getting it from the Capilano Reservoir as an example.
Yeah, for sure. But I do see a lot of people at the local grocery stores filling up those big jugs of water. So I actually didn't know that White Rock water tasted bad until this.
There you go. What's the next question?
Okay, next question. Are dogs allowed on White Rock Beach and promenade?
That is a local drama that certainly never ends. So the short answer is yes, but only in the golden window. So from April, September, leash dogs are allowed on the promenade from, I think it's 5:30 to about 9 o'clock in the morning. But after that, they're banned until the next morning. The pier, that's a completely no-go zone for dogs, and that's 365 days a year. If you want a dog-friendly beach, you're probably going to want to head just about 5 to 10 minutes down the road to Crescent Beach. It's located in the municipality of Surrey, and it's got the only off-leash dog park in the entire area. And you can actually take your dog swimming, let them run around on the beach, that sort of thing. Now let's talk a little bit about the beach. The beach is actually itself, like we're talking like where the tide actually comes in and out. That's actually under provincial jurisdiction as part of the wildlife management area. On the sand, according to the BC Wildlife Act, dogs are allowed on the beach, but they have to be on a leash shorter than 2 meters at all times. So there's no off-leash running in the waves here. It's a protected habitat, and that's for migratory birds.
I think it's a good rule, but I don't think everybody follows that rule. So don't be those people.
No, and they're definitely not. And you can hear our dog groaning in the background as we're talking about this.
Okay, why are White Rock property taxes so much higher than Surrey?
That is a good question, one that I get being in real estate all the time. And really, it's the price of independence. So if you didn't know, and maybe you didn't know this, White Rock was actually part of Surrey back in, I think it was the 1950s, 1957. It was actually called Ward Number 7. So what happened at that time is the residents in Ward Number 7, they were getting frustrated that their tax dollars were funding Surrey's agricultural north, the north end of Surrey, instead of the seaside area and the infrastructure there. So at that time, they successfully campaigned for what was kind of called a civic divorce to gain local control over their own roads, sewers, and identity, resulting in this tiny little independent city, which we see today. White Rock is its own city and it's not part of Surrey. And really, because it's tiny and mostly residential, in White Rock, they don't have Surrey's massive industrial tax base to pay the bills. We pay for our own police, our own fire department, and our own maintenance. And as of 2026, when we're filming this video, taxes are in fact climbing another roughly 5%, making it one of the more expensive zip codes in the entire province to live in, really due to its size. Did you know that?
No.
No? We're all learning lots about White Rock today.
You're the expert, so.
What's that? Well, she says that because we're on camera. What's the next one?
Okay. Is there a SkyTrain coming to White Rock?
There is absolutely not a SkyTrain coming to White Rock, even though that is a fear that gets fear mongered all the time. The straight answer is no. It's in your dreams. The SkyTrain expansion is heading to Langley, far north of here. It's going to connect North Surrey to Langley, kind of the Willowbrook Mall area. But White Rock is effectively the end of the road. If you work in Vancouver, you're still looking at a 40-minute ride on the 351 Express bus to the Canada line. That is kind of the price that you pay for living in a seaside bubble. While the SkyTrain is heading to Langley, White Rock is actually getting a massive transit upgrade called the BRT, or the Bus Rapid Transit. So if you kind of think of it like a SkyTrain on wheels, I mean, you know what a bus looks like, but TransLink is moving forward with a dedicated rapid line from Surrey Central, which is the very north area of Surrey, right to our doorstep at the Semiahmoo Town Center. And this isn't just a regular bus. We're talking about dedicated lanes, traffic signal priority, and rail-like stations. So for the locals who hate the crowded bus stops, the Semiahmoo Town Center, part of its redevelopment plan includes this new modernized bus loop. So it's kind of a huge uptown makeover that's going to turn this area into a major transit hub. So we're not actually getting tracks, but we will be getting direct access to North Surrey and thus the SkyTrain because of that.
Perfect. Good.
All right, what's the next one?
Okay. The next question. Is White Rock a good place to live?
Absolutely. What do you think? Is it a good place to live?
Definitely.
It's yeah, I guess the answer entirely depends on the phase of your life as well. Like historically, yes, and we would agree with that. If you're unfamiliar with the area, it's a fairly senior orientated town. We have world-class services here, like the Peace Arch Hospital and really specialized senior clinics right in the heart of the city. But if you think White Rock is just for retirees, you haven't been here lately. And thanks to the massive redevelopment going in and around the Semiahmoo Town Center area, the demographic is really quite shifting. Young families, as you've seen on the streets, are really pouring in. And frankly, because it's a great place to live, and this is where everybody wants to be. Even it's a great place to raise kids and whatnot. So you've got this really tight-knit community feel, solid schools in the area, incredible sports programs from lacrosse at Centennial to the state park. Our kids are in a lot of the programs, swimming, hockey.
Yeah. It's great. And so close to the beach too. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah, and the reality check for all those new families, it comes with a bit of growing pain. Of course, like the infrastructure, the local rinks, the community centers, they can get quite strained during peak season. Let's be honest, if you work in maybe downtown Vancouver or Burnaby, the peninsula life is a commitment. Like geographically, every time that we have to leave White Rock, South Surrey to go somewhere, we're complaining in the car because of how long it takes to get anywhere these days. And being tucked away at the bottom of the map, being far from the highway, means that your daily commute can be a grind. Also, if you're looking for a bargain, especially in any of the neighborhoods in White Rock or South Surrey, real estate comes with premium prices here. Right now, as the filming of this video, median home sale prices are hovering just above the $1.7 million mark, depending on the month. So what that means is if you're a person that's maybe coming here trying to save money, you're probably not going to do so. You're really coming here for the lifestyle. If you can work from home and you're ready to slow down, it's unbeatable. But if you need to be in the city for like a 9-to-5 job, you might find yourself spending more time in the car than you actually do at the beach.
What is White Rock known for?
What is White Rock known for? That's a pretty good one. Well, I mean, in its simplistic, we've got a big white rock on the beach. Now, question for you, that big white rock, is that one solid rock or is that a bunch of rocks put together?
Oh, well, I know it's not naturally white, but I don't know if it's one solid rock. Probably not.
It's not one solid
No.
rock. Why is it? So it was called the White Rock because of bird droppings all over the rock, and sailors would be able to see it from the ocean or the bay, and it was called the White Rock. But we know that it is painted
Yeah.
regularly by the city because it's kind of the premier site for people to really come check out.
People take lots of pictures there.
Yeah. What else is White Rock known for? Right in the same area.
The pier.
The pier. So the White Rock Pier is about 1,500 feet, and it is dubbed to be the longest pier in Canada. Now, I don't actually believe that's true. I think there's another one in one of the other provinces that's actually longer, but it is one of the longest, if not the longest pier in all of Canada. We're also known as one of the sunniest spots in the Lower Mainland, thanks to a unique rain shadow that keeps us dry while Vancouver tends to get soaked. In fact, when going to work, often days I'll be driving up out of White Rock in South Surrey. You'll just see cloud everywhere in the distance up to the north, but White Rock is sunny and nice weather.
And also when it's really hot in other places like Vancouver or North Surrey, it's nice and cool here.
Yeah, we get a nice breeze here being so close to the ocean.
So close to the ocean.
Yeah. All right. What's the next question?
What is the crime rate in White Rock?
What is the crime rate? Well, if you watch the news, you'd think that Surrey is the Wild West and White Rock might be a quiet library, but let's look at the actual 2026 data. White Rock versus Surrey being, towns and municipalities that are side by side. White Rock has a significantly lower crime rate than Surrey, but it's a bit of apples to oranges comparison. Surrey is a massive city with anywhere like around 650,000 people, with urban centers like Wally and Newton. And most of Surrey's violent crime is targeted, meaning gang related, and rarely affects the average resident. White Rock in this area, by contrast, is mostly what's called crimes of opportunity. Think bike theft, someone checking car door handles on Marine Drive. It's considered to be much safer in White Rock, but you're also paying a premium for that small town security. If we compare it to like maybe a bigger municipality, for maybe someone coming from like Vancouver as an example, well, real shocker here, but Vancouver often has a higher crime severity index than Surrey does. Vancouver also sees significantly more property crime, street disorder, and random stranger attacks in its core area as well. Surrey's crime is often targeted. Vancouver can feel more random. Bringing it all back to White Rock, White Rock is comfortably below both, maintaining one of the lowest crime rates in the entire Lower Mainland. All right, we got time for maybe one more. What do you got? Make it.
Okay. Is it expensive to live in White Rock?
What do you think?
Yeah, it is more expensive. Definitely. You do pay the price to live here, but in my opinion, it's worth it.
Well, if you could have any better endorsement than that, I don't know what it could be. But, to answer your question, just really in comparing real estate values all across maybe the city, let's say White Rock, Surrey, Langley, North Delta, that sort of thing, the simple answer is yes. Between the 1.7 plus million dollar average home price and the high utility fees, White Rock is what I would consider entry level luxury. And why do I say that? Well, entry level luxury because you can still go to amazing areas in the Lower Mainland. I mean, we live in the Lower Mainland. You've got Port Moody, you've got Vancouver, and all the waterfront all along there. There's so many spectacular areas that you could call home in the Lower Mainland. But as any local is going to tell you, once you see that sunset over Semiahmoo Bay, you kind of forget about the tax bill. And comparatively speaking, you're going to spend more money for a house in White Rock than you would in other closer areas like maybe Cloverdale, other areas of Surrey, North Delta, that sort of thing. But the area that we live in, South Surrey and White Rock, is certainly much more expensive than a lot of the surrounding communities. So we just answered the top 8 most Googled questions about White Rock, the community, living in the community. I want to thank my special guest helper, Sarah, who was conveniently available this afternoon to be a part of this video. But I'm curious for you guys, what other questions do you have about White Rock? What other questions or information might you like to see us create videos on in the future? Let us know in the comments of this video. And if you're somebody who's considering moving to the area, somebody who's given it a really hard thought about maybe relocating your family here, coming here for work, or all the opportunities, or maybe some of the great stuff we talked about in today's video, you might be wondering about, well, where are the best areas for me to call home and set up shop? Well, the good news is we did a deep dive breakdown on the entire community because let's be frank, some areas just simply aren't as good as others. And the good news is, if you're interested, that video is coming up right now.
You want to know where the best neighborhoods in South Surrey and White Rock are to live? Well, if that's the case, this is definitely the video for you.